Welcome to another episode of Business Over Bourbon, where we pour equal parts business knowledge and fine bourbon to make a truly memorable cocktail. Your bartenders for the evening are Corey Perlman and David Newman. Both guys have marketing backgrounds, an affinity for small batch bourbons, and an admitted 5-year bromance that is downright nauseating. So put your learning hat on and highball glass in hand. It's time for Business Over Bourbon.
Hey, everybody. This is Corey Perlman, and I am here with my friend David Newman, and this is Business Over Bourbon, Episode 2. David, are you there?
I am. I'm not sure why, but I am.
You look amazing. Just saying.
I was just thinking I look like a homeless person. I don't know why. If it's the shirt, I look like a homeless guy, but it's fine. It's okay. I'm glad to be here. And we have like the world's best guest.
We do. Well, not only do you look like a homeless person, but by the end of it, it's hot in here. I'm gonna have sweaty armpits. So between the two of us, it'll just be. Luckily, we'll have Jill in the middle of us. You know, this person in the midst of a
just to class the place up.
Yeah, just a rough duo here. So this is episode number 2. For those of you that don't know, we talk business over bourbon. And so tonight, you're our first guest. So let me introduce Jill. Now,
oh, God.
Oh, I know, this is scary. This is very, very scary. Jill Scheffel, what is it, David?
Schiffelnuts.
Schiffelnuts. Yes, Jill Schiefelbein. Yeah. No, Jill Schiefelbein is an award-winning entrepreneur, author, and recovering academic. She taught business communication at Arizona State University for 11 years. Before venturing into entrepreneurship. I have not had a sip of bourbon yet. I would just say. Jill's business.
Me neither.
That's the problem. I'm stuttering. I just can't. Jill's business, the Dynamic Communicator, helps organizations increase sales and create consumer advocates. Jill runs the Dynamic Accelerator program, helping solo and micro entrepreneurs accelerate business growth. Her latest book, David, you have it, I have it. Dynamic Communication, 27 Strategies to Grow, Lead, and Manage Your Business, hit stores in March of 2017 and spread all over Barnes & Noble. And I was literally on the airplane, Jill, and I'm flipping through Entrepreneur Magazine, and there you were, and I was so gosh darn proud of you. So welcome to the show, Jill. Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. I don't know if I should be flattered that I'm the first guest or terrified.
Yes.
Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit of both.
I was going to ask you about the micro entrepreneurs. How short do they have to be?
3 foot or under.
So we're like, okay, they're like mini businesses. Mini
businesses. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A little slightly different needs from small businesses, right? But so many times small businesses and people who are 1 or maybe 2 or 3 people businesses are grouped in the same category, which is complete crap. I'm
running a midget business. I've got midgets here.
Microeconomics. Yeah. I like it.
Microeconomics.
Oh gosh.
Well, without further ado.
Yes. Should we do our NSA non-plug again? That this has nothing to do with NSA.
Yes.
And all to do with cigar bag.
Stacy. So since episode 1, let's just be clear. Stacy Techner, the CEO yes. And the executive director of the National Speakers Association, who has been in that job for the last 25 years. Episode 1 hits, he quits.
Gone.
He's out. He's gone. Yeah. He's dead. Yeah, he's out.
We don't want to say that it was our fault, but we're going to claim it was our fault.
He did not want to be anywhere near this level of backsplash.
No. He thought cigar peg? Oh, you just wait. Hashtag, what was it, harmonica? No, what was the thing?
Kazoo.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
And then 2 of the 3 people on the screen right now are in charge of the big convention in 2018. So I think he dodged a literal bullet there.
Yeah.
Touche, my friend. Yeah. Well, this would not be a Business Over Bourbon podcast without at least pouring our first bourbon. So I wanted to show everybody tonight. I have my special guitar ice here, which I'm pretty excited about. Yes, to pour my bourbon in. We have Hudson Baby Bourbon whiskey that was chosen by Jill because she is from New York, and this bourbon is from New York. So let's do a little pour, Jill, shall we?
Yeah, and try not to literally spill it everywhere. Yeah. This, it's fancy. The wax coating that came on top of the bottle was remarkably difficult to remove.
I did it with the old knife thing, like you would, like a wine cork bottle or something like that. But yeah, it was super confusing. So to two of my favorite people literally in the world, I say cheers.
Cheers.
First sip. There we go. You're drinking yours neat, which I like there, Jill.
Well, I think the first time you taste a bourbon, doing it neat is appropriate because then you get the contrast.
Totally. I'm totally with you. I'm a baby bourbon drinker, and I fully admit it. So, Jill, one thing about this bourbon, just so you know, is it was the first purely corn distilled bourbon in New York since the Prohibition. Did you know that?
It's a little scandalous, like most New Yorkers. It's good.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And dang, it's got a nice bite. I really like that. Good stuff.
It's smooth. It's a little syrupy with a hint of arrogance. Again, just like a good New Yorker.
Right. I was going to say just like Newman, but no, I mean.
So I have a question about this. What makes it a baby? Why is it a baby? Is
a baby
it like
bourbon?
Yeah. What's baby bourbon? What's that all about?
You would ask that question.
On the website, it said something about oak barrel, first time usage. I don't know. I was like, it's in New York and it's a bourbon I haven't tried and neither of you guys had. So why not?
Dr. Perlman and I are noticing this trend among bourbons that to legally be bourbon, there are certain criteria, and they will claim this is like some special feature on the label. It's like, no, it has to be the first time in the bourbon cask. That's the definition of bourbon. If it was like in a used cask, it couldn't count as bourbon.
Correct. Yes. Must be in the United States. Must be 51% corn. And Jill, yours is 100% corn.
I'm a purist, you know.
Congratulations. New age charred barrels, as Newman said.
New, baby new.
And this one, 92 proof, right, Jill? Is that right? 92?
Yeah.
92 proof. So darn good bourbon. We'll talk more about it in a couple minutes. But Jill, I want to talk to you about our first question to you. How long did it take you to write that darn book of yours, by the way?
Well, that's kind of a trick question. If you want to be literal, from when I first put pen to paper on the book that you currently have in your office, 60 days. Which is a bit insane. If you want to talk about the whole process, I started writing the proposal for the book in October of 15. A contract was written and offered in April of 16, signed in June of 16, and then mid-July of 16, I said, I don't think this is the right book. And the publisher looked at me and said, okay, well, this is the one we paid you for, and this is the one you're working on. And I said, I just don't feel it's right. Here's why, and here's what I would like to do. And she said, you're brilliant. You do realize you have 60 days until the manuscript is due. I said, yep, I do. She goes, whatever, just go for it. And that was the story. So there's a third of another book just kind of sitting on my computer. So someday it'll resurrect.
It's amazing what a deadline will do for you, huh? Yeah. The thing with Jill, real quickly too, just straight up question. At this point in your process with this book, published or self-published, which one would you prefer and why?
It depends on your goal for the book. For me, if your goal is solely profit and you have a large existing market that you've created for yourself, I would self-publish. If you do not, I think traditional publishing is important for most, not all, but most people in, the thought leadership, for lack of a better term, or the speaking or consulting space. I think having the credibility that, hey, a major publisher who depends on you to make money is willing to back you and put your name lends an extra hint of gravitas, if you will.
Does. Totally. Newman, McMahon, anything to add?
Yes. Yeah. I think two things. Schiefelnuts is both brilliant and crazy. That's all.
Touche. And they'll figure that out about 13 minutes into this podcast, I'm sure.
It's coming. It's coming.
Any moment now. So one thing I know about you, Jill, is on the radio show that you do for NSA is Jill's Juicy Bites, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm. BYTES, because it has to be cute.
Yes, BYTES. Yes, the little propeller heads. Those of us get that, and those cool people don't probably.
Right.
But so you're really good about technology, and I'm always interested in some of the technology pieces that you are currently using. So I want to put you on the spot, and I want to ask you, which ones are making your business life better, which ones are sucking the life out of you, and which one can you not live without. And you can go in any order that you want. And Newman, McMahon, you can chime in too, because I know you got some good ones as well.
Great.
Which one is kind of blowing my mind right now is one that I recently adopted. It is a social media tool. It's an aggregator. It's a repurposer. It's called Meet Edgar. And mine kind of blown. Mine a bit blown because it lets you pre-plan and then it reuses and creates content libraries in different categories for Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook groups. Like you can actually use this to plan content in your Facebook groups, which to me is invaluable. And that is cool. So what it does is it puts contents in buckets and you can tell Edgar how many times you'd like to reuse each piece of content. And let's say you have 100 pieces in there, it'll post one, push it to the bottom and just keep, moving it back up until it just cycles through your library. And as you add new stuff in there, it goes into those categories. It's pretty great.
That's badass. Nice.
Yeah.
How about one that's not working so well? One that you thought maybe, or just one that might be a little too time sucking, if you will.
I don't know if it's a little time sucking, and this is something that I'm borderline on right now, and I will still use it and I still enjoy it. But what I think is interesting is how Facebook Live is altering at this point in time. And I like it. I've had a lot of success with it. I do it for a major publication as one of their personalities, and it's great. I enjoy it. But how it's being perceived by people is kind of changing its usage. And especially because there's so many people that are thinking, oh, well, I can be like some cool person and just hold the phone up and make some piece of crap video and put it online. And then it's actually messing up all the algorithms that show what is actually prioritized. And that it's kind of a pain in my butt right now. So I'm trying to figure out what are the secret ways to make that more visible while still utilizing the technology, which I think is good, but it's more of a saturated market now. So it's kind of a pain in my butt.
Fair enough. One that I just started using this week with my team. I hate to say this, Newman, but I feel like Jay Bear is going to get a name drop in every one of our podcasts for some reason or other. So thank you.
Why not?
Drop, Jay. But he recommended to me this Sococo, I think is the name of it. So yeah, not the best name in the world, but phenomenal virtual team environment that all of my team, literally they have their own cubicles on the screen. And we can meet in the boardroom and I can see them in there and we can chat to each other. We can kind of design things in our rooms and have different rooms. If we want to bring a client in there, we can bring them to a room. I can see that Carla's meeting with Steve, the client over here. Super neat for virtual teams. Very impressed by it. And so that's been my fun tool of the month. Really, really cool. So I'll put the link up on the podcast. Make sure I'm saying it right. I think it's Sococo.
It's kind of like Second Life meets Sims meets Basecamp.
Yes. Hey, anytime I hear something smart like that,
you gotta take a drink. It takes a little bit to process, I know.
It does. It does, yes. There you go. Newman, 8 ounces.
Minimum.
All right. So what else? Anything else under that category in terms of your little gadgets, things that you've been using that you think would help other people listening?
You know what I absolutely love? There's two things that I love for, going back to the one that's a pain in my butt, the live streaming, or I think any impromptu video you want to create. So the whole trend back in the 90s and even early 2000s was backpack journalism, where you'd see the increased rise of publications sending their journalists out into the field to be the photographer, the videographer, and the writer on any given story. So people had to become multifaceted. Well, now I jokingly and seriously, because of course, according to, Newman's style, I bought the domain, fanny pack journalism is the next thing. And that's what I'm calling it. And I'm working on this website now just as a resource of the kit that's the size of a fanny pack that I carry around with me almost everywhere, that contains a Sennheiser mic. It's a clip-on mic that goes into the lightning port of my iPhone. If I'm just doing a video on my own, it is amateur not to have at least some type of mic if you're going to be producing video and doing live streaming. I understand in some situations you are, oh my God, I don't have a mic, but I got to capture this and got to do it now. I'm not talking about those rare situations. I'm talking about if you're going out and about for a day and you're working, you have a backpack, you have a laptop bag, whatever it is, throw this little kit in there and you do it. So that mic, it's about $200, but it's worth its weight in gold.
What's it called again?
It's a Sennheiser clip-on mic for iPhone, and it, again, uses a lightning port. You can adjust the audio levels, the decibel levels, everything in your phone through an app. It's really, really good quality. Awesome. And then there's an iRig HD mic that also plugs into the mic port or the lightning port on the iPhone, and you can use that if I'm going to interview another person. One clip-on mic doesn't do the job, but this one, it's like old school news style. Hi, this is Jill Schiefelbein reporting, and hi, this is so-and-so. It's kind of fun. So those two things, of course, with a basic tripod, not a selfie stick, people. Get a tripod. Get some stability. Be more professional if you're going to do these dang videos.
Love it. Love it. Newman, what do you think, man? I know for you, I was curious, one question for you, bud. You had mentioned to me one time the dual camera. Okay, so you use that. Okay, yeah, so you got your tripod there.
The monkey balls. It's the monkey gripper balls. I mean, just imagine some balls. Imagine your ice ball from episode 1 being gripped.
Nice.
Gripped.
Ow.
Right in here.
Ouch. Gee.
Right
Yes.
there.
Ow.
See, you had the ice ball in your first episode. I have the cube, like the big giant cube.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever had the, I know it's not bourbon stones, but they're called whiskey stones. They're like gray stones that you freeze and you put in there so there's no
I've
dilution.
seen those.
I don't like them.
No.
I'm fighting words there. We lost that sponsor. That sponsor's gone. Like, oh yeah, Stones. Yeah, hi. It's business over bourbon. No. We hate you.
Sorry, man. They don't chill my drink the way I want them to. So the whole reason I use ice is to make the liquid cold, and I just don't feel like those stones do justice to the chilliness of the bourbon. But that's just my opinion.
Well
Joe
articulated.
Jones.
And there goes that.
There goes that sponsor. I'm keeping track on my phone of all the sponsors that we're losing, episode by episode.
Nice.
We're losing
how
a
many
lot.
is that list up to now? We're at
2.
episode 2. Not even finished with 2, and
Right. Yeah, we're averaging 1 per episode.
great.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah. Actually, I think we actually lost Entrepreneur Magazine at this point as well. And Entrepreneur Press and Entrepreneur.com and all the people that Jill is, fabulously connected to. It's like, yeah, she's dead to us. It's over. She was on that bourbon thing with those 2 idiots, and we're out.
There's ways to advertise in Facebook where you actually don't allow it to advertise. Jill's going to spend more money not advertising to her clients.
Don't show this to anyone at Entrepreneur, please.
Oh, man, that's good stuff. The other thing, Jill, before we just move on from this topic real quick is we're using Zoom, and I know you're a big fan of
You're a Zoomer. You're a Zoomer. Come on.
Yeah.
I am.
Tell me why, and so far so good, by the way.
Yeah, so in Zoom, I first started using it. I was an early adopter, so when the subscription per month was less than it is now, so yay for me for saving that. But, really, I like trying out new technologies, and this one promised to be better than Skype. And I'm like, okay, Skype's kind of a pain in my butt, so let's try it. Tried it, loved it, found out why, ended up getting connected with the CEO because that's just what I do when I like something. I want to give, praise to people. So connected to the CEO, started learning the story behind it. And what they do at Zoom here, your propeller hat, I'm just geek speak. That's all I'm doing. They have what is referred to as an audio prioritization algorithm. And you can say that 5 times fast on bourbon and I'll be impressed. But with this audio prioritization algorithm, right, what it does is if your bandwidth is having any issues whatsoever, what it'll do is it'll cut the bandwidth that's being used for the video and maintain the audio, which, as we all know, for any type of podcast, any type of show, any type of video, you need good lighting, etc. But audio is the most important factor because if they can't hear you, you're kind of screwed.
That's freaking brilliant. That's freaking brilliant.
It is. And they made a really good customer service model out of it too, where they actually listen to their customers. Some of the features are customer driven. They've actually cut out kind of some of the feedback loops that would typically go into a software organization, whereas the engineers and developers are actually directly included in some of the support tickets that come in, instead of sending them to a project manager and then only some of them being passed on to the engineer. So it's really a full UI UX experience in terms of everyone on the team being involved.
It's amazing how many platforms like this got it wrong, and how like gaping the hole was for somebody to fill it with a good solution. And the two things you talked about, customer service and bandwidth issues, and they figured, look, if we can't get video square like everyone else can't, let's at least make sure audio comes through clear. And in these cases, that's the most important thing.
And it's probably so clear right now, you can hear the most annoying neighbors who moved in about 3 months ago and drive me freaking crazy. Welcome to New York. Welcome to New York.
Are those the kids?
Oh yeah, the kids. And then you will hear the mom and dad like yelling at the top of their lungs at each other through my closed door, hallway behind their closed door.
Oh, it's
great.
Yeah, it's amazing.
When you say hearing,
right over.
like, yeah.
And why do you think I have a big ass bottle of this?
There you go.
Well, there's no doubt that Milo may run in here and jump on Daddy at any moment. So no worries about that. Well, let's talk about our bourbon just for a second here, and we're in the midway part of our little podcast here. What do you think of the bourbon, Jill?
I like it. I actually do. Most of the time I do like bourbon better chilled, but I really like to get the thickness of it when it's just poured neat. I like that. And I'll actually often at a bar be like, pour it neat, but then give me a glass of ice on the side. And they look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, I know what I like. It's okay.
Right. You want to try it first and then put the ice in once you've tried it. I totally get that. The price, well, let's talk about just for a second, and I'm going to butcher this name. Maybe you can help me. Toothletown? Does that sound right? Toothletown, Jill? Have any idea?
I have no clue.
Okay, so we'll just call it Toothletown.
I just wanted to support my state, Yeah, I'm like, let's find a New York bourbon.
If anyone's, we just lost another sponsor, Newman.
Big time.
Damn. Well, yes. But
it's okay.
Toothletown.
Hooked on Phonics did not work for Corey. It's okay.
No. Toothletown. Okay, got it. 3 syllables.
Toothletown.
Just like Schiffel nuts.
Schiffel nuts.
Schiffel nuts. It's 3 syllables.
I taste it's smoother than the one that we had, the Elijah Craig, I would say, from our last episode, Newman. A little bit of cherry, a little bit of rye, a little bit of raisins. So they say on the sniff. I don't really capture any of that, but that's what they say on the website. I really like it. 92 proof and about $44 average cost. Mid bourbon, which is a nice price. Not too expensive, not too cheap. There's some better ones. There's some good ones out there that are less expensive, but not out of the ballpark by any means. You probably spent like 80 on it in New York, but.
58, but they had to crawl up a ladder to get it on a shelf, which made me feel special. Cool. It's that elitist. What I do like about it, it's neat, is they do them in small batches, and you actually have a hand-numbered label on every bottle. And I know that's a subtle touch, but really, if you're into consuming any type of spirit, knowing that it's in limited batch actually doesn't make you feel so bad about the price, even though it's not that bad.
Nerds or whatever, dorks or whatever you want to call them, or whomever, they enjoy when somebody gets up on a ladder at a library to fetch a book for them. Alcoholics enjoy when somebody gets up on a ladder and finds bourbon for them.
But wait, I'm like an alcoholic and a nerd, so it's kind of like a paradise. There's this bar down in Soho called the Brandy Library, and it's actually built like a library inside, but instead of books, there's different bottles of alcohol on the shelves, and they have the sliding ladders in the bar.
That's awesome. That's so cool. That's awesome.
There's
I want to go
back.
I think we need to go back about a complete UI UX experience. Mm-hmm. So just for the civilians who are listening, UI, UX, fill us in.
User interface and user experience. So tech companies will often have one or both, and sometimes they call UX the same thing as UI. They're interchangeable in a lot of worlds. But user interface is, to me, more focused on the design elements of making the UX, the user experience come to life. So the smart companies will have different UX tests that are done. They'll get focus groups. They'll get feedbacks. They'll study the click-through data, the heat maps on different sites and products, that type of thing.
I could show you some heat maps. I mean,
I'm sure you could.
I really could. So I think, Dr. Perlman, what we're going to do is we're going to do BI and BX. We're going to do the bourbon interface and the bourbon experience.
Touche, my brother. Touche.
BIBX.
Thank you for not letting us forget about the bourbon, Ed McMahon.
So yeah, you get me on, and then I just get excited, and I'll be drinking and be focused on business, even though there's a good bourbon in my hand. It's just how I roll.
No, that's the deal. That's business bourbon.
Yeah, the best ideas, the world's problems have been solved when people are sipping Scotch or bourbon. I mean, that was the whole reason for this podcast. So it's pretty neat.
So what world problem are we about to solve?
Dynamic communication.
Ooh.
God, that was a good segue. Ed McMahon, can I get a amen on that? Thank you.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you very much. Let's talk about your book for a second. Dynamic communication. So first of all, again, I saw a great forward by our buddy Newman. What I really like about your book too is you've got case studies throughout on real world experience from a lot of really cool people, including the CEO of Zoom, which I thought was really neat. But specifically, amplifying our voice. So for people listening, what I see that you're really good at, Jill, and what you talk a lot about in the book is in the digital world, how to amplify our voice to a larger audience, that type of thing. What are some ways, some best practices that you're able to do that?
I think one fundamental understanding that we all need to really get in our heads now is that in an information democracy, in an information economy, whatever you want to call it, we have a greater ability to access information than ever before. And before anyone, from a business standpoint is buying from you, 87% at least, that was a stat that's about a year old now, are researching you online. So whereas our websites used to be sources of information, that is not sufficient anymore, because by the time someone knows enough about a topic to search an expert out, they have enough information. What they need is knowledge. So in order to rise above the noise, stop providing facts and figures, stop providing features, stop providing information that people can get anywhere, and start providing knowledge. And that's done most strategically in this economy by answering questions.
How do you get those
Corey, I did you a favor because Jill says, no more information. Prospects don't want information before they buy. I just shut down your website.
Thank you very much.
Just to cut you a break, man, because, ebootcamp.com, it's been around for 10 years, 12 years. Turn it off, man. Information. We don't need that crap.
You know where I'm going after that one, man? I'm going to buy this domain, Social Udia. What do you think of that?
I love that. Is that your next book?
Thinking about it, yeah.
Social media? No, Social Udia.
I'm glad it's starting to catch on for you, buddy.
Yeah. I am picking up what you're laying down.
I know you are, brother. So in terms of your favorite tools, if you will, to amplify your voice or to be able to find that, you mentioned Facebook Live. What other ways have you been able to, maybe through the media, things of that nature, but to be able to grow your tribe, get a bigger tribe out there, things of that nature?
For me in my business, which is about communication, video is going to be the single best way to highlight myself, my expertise, my presence. But then also for me, it's also the best way to establish a rapport with a person who's watching online, because the really good videos, people will feel like they're in the room with you. And what's good about having a solid video presence, and this is not just for a communication expert, it's not just for a speaker or a thought leader or an author, it's not for any of that. In fact, a medical doctor, a pediatrician, whatever, could have a solid video presence to establish rapport before a patient even comes in the door, which would make that experience so much more seamless. I just spoke about this topic at a medical group managers association and talked about the importance of video in terms of getting their customers, their patients, especially the first timers, to feel more comfortable with the doctor coming in. I mean, if you're a new parent, you're terrified that you're doing and making the right choices and decisions for your kids. So whatever you're not. Yeah, right.
Yeah, you're screwing it all up.
So Jill, are you wanting them to go live, or you want them to do pre-recorded video in that case?
In that sense, pre-recorded video is the way to go. And I think what most companies do wrong is they look at the latest shiny object and say, we need to be using that, when they're not even using the previous shiny objects correctly in the first place.
Right.
And that's why most people don't rise above the noise because, they had a blog at one point in time, but they were never consistent about it. Blog didn't work for us. Well, BS, a blog will work for you if you're consistent with it and you're answering the questions and providing value and making it so people can find it. It's not the tool that is the problem or the medium that is the problem. It's most of the time the utilization of it. Now, there's better channels one way or the other depending on your audience, but most people across all industries give up too quickly for not seeing a direct ROI when it comes to content and being heard.
And if you are talking to a service, let's just say a dentist practice or something like that, and they're asking two questions or they're answering two questions, what type of questions should those be? And just to give you two examples, one might be a question about their business, or would it be a question about something that the audience member, the person listening, might find valuable? Like, what would be better?
Yeah, let me give you an example for onboarding, right? So let's say you already have a patient who has an appointment that's a new patient. One of the things that we have now is the ability to fill out all those new patient forms online. Thank God, right? I mean, you remember going 15, 20, 30 minutes early, your hand gets a cramp before you even see whatever medical professional you're seeing. And then quite frankly, it's not that secure because all your data is sitting right there that a receptionist sometimes leaves out on the desk.
I'm usually doing it in the dentist chair, like with my mouth open. I'm like, yeah, it's terrible. It's not.
Exactly. It's awful. And most of the time the handwriting is atrocious. So now we have all these online forms. Well, what about a 30-second video? That's literally all it would take before someone fills out a form that says, hey, my name is Jill. I am one of the 4 people you're going to meet when you come into our office for the first time. And if you take the time now to fill out these forms, it's going to make your visit so much more seamless and we'll be able to get you back to the doctor faster. And besides, who wants their hand to cramp up while writing forms? Fill this out and we'll be able to email you with any information we need in addition, so that when you come in, you go straight to the doctor. A simple message like that is going to, number one, introduce people to who would be at the front office staff greeting them coming in. It's already making them feel a little more comfortable. It's saying, yes, these forms are here and it's work right now, but it gives you a reason why it's going to benefit you in the end, because nobody likes waiting in a doctor's office. So it's a simple use of video like that, and that can be extrapolated over many different industries, areas, etc., that people are not doing because they think video is marketing and video is selling, and if you're selling in videos, you're doing it completely wrong.
What do you think about that, Newman? You sell in your videos all the time. I mean, you just sit there and you just sell.
That is completely not true. I am the world's nicest human being.
You are.
I sell on webinars. Webinars, I'll sell the pants off you. Videos, I'm just like a pussycat.
Yes, you are.
I'm like Don Rickles. I'm a sweetheart.
You're like Woofy.
I'm like Woofy the Wonder Dog.
Well,
I never sell on videos.
Well, it's a difference, and you don't. Your Facebook Live, you may jokingly mention something at the end, and it's not so much joking, it's just a, hey, FYI, but it's never a hard push. But on a webinar where someone is signed up intentionally to learn a specific thing, that's very different.
That is true.
Yeah. And, at that point, they're dead. I have their credit card. They're going down. They're not going to leave that without buying something.
David ends his webinars with Visa or MasterCard.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which one are you going to do? All right. So, hey, another sip of bourbon. Yes, there you go. Still enjoying.
Oh, I didn't know I had to be cued to take these. I've just been taking my liberty.
No. Take your liberty.
8 ounce minimum. 8 ounce minimum.
That 8 ounces looks like it's still 8 ounces though. Is it? It's
I'm working on it. I got a hollow leg.
Hollow leg. All right. Well, we're going to kind of head down the hill towards the end here, Jill. Let's talk a little bit about. You talked about onboarding and using AI. Where do you think video is going? So Facebook Live's the shiny new penny syndrome. I talk about the squirrel, everybody's freaking out towards it, but we're roughly in the middle of 2017. So next 6 months, next 18 months, where's video going?
One of the things that I talk about in the book, and this is probably my favorite chapter, simply because I actually took a super geeky theory concept and brought it a new life. So in a way, I'm very proud. I'm proud of the whole damn book, but I'm really proud of this. And it's a chapter that I call Panopticon Service, how your business should be open 24/7. Mm-hmm. And the Panopticon, for those not familiar with it, you're going to get educated here. It's this English guy traveled. I don't know why he ended up in modern day Belarus in the 1700s, but he did. And he was working for this royal dude. And this royal dude is like, I am lazy. I want to absorb my whole workforce from one point and not have to move because I'm a royal dude and that's what I do. And so this guy was hired to figure out a design of an office that could make that happen. So it's like, hi, royal dude. Hello, proletariat. So this guy's brother, Jeremy, says, you know what? I'm going to visit my bro, and went over to modern day Belarus. And I imagine they were sitting around at a bar taking shots of vodka, and they like slammed the glasses down, and all of a sudden they looked down and said, oh my God, this would be the perfect design, which ended up being basically a work floor or an office with a cylindrical tower in the center. And that then became the point where the person would stand and observe the round building area around. So from one central point could really just rotate and see. Well, Jeremy, this guy, took it back to the UK and said, this is going to be brilliant for prisons. Like, I don't know where the hell he got this idea, but it became a major design in prisons that still used today. This cylindrical center guard tower around an octagonally shaped structure is used with one-way glass so that you never know if you're being watched or not as a prisoner. So your compliance and good behavior will increase because you don't know if there's actually a guard in the guard tower or not. And then prison systems were able to reduce the number of staffing hours, but behavior was still better as a whole. So I kind of flip that and say, as a business, whenever someone buys from you, as soon as they, give you that Visa or MasterCard like they do with Newman up there, they want to know that you're watching them 24/7, and not in a creepy, you need to behave way, but hey, I gave you some money. I need to know that you're there for me. I need to know that this is not a fly-by-night business, because we've all been screwed at one point in time by a business that didn't deliver. Mm-hmm. And so we as consumers want to feel like we're being watched in, again, that positive way, that we're guarded, that we're comforted, that we know we made the right decision. And the wave of service, customer service, communication, video in the future, a lot of it goes to this. It's the more we can empower people to help themselves, the more service we can actually provide as an expert. And this is whether you're a medical doctor, a mechanic, a communication consultant, a marketing strategist, a social media guru, whatever you are, the more we can help people be empowered to answer their own questions, the better we can shine. So video moving forward, AI, artificial intelligence, we now have message bots, even in Facebook, that we can use to automatically catalog and reply to certain types of inquiries. We have catalogs or battalions, whatever you want to call it, of different information and different resources that can be text-based, multimedia, video, audio, PDF, whatever it is, that when certain keywords are typed in, AI will trigger, do you want to send this? And instead of searching for something, all you have to do is click a button to say yes, which allows you to better serve your customers. And so across all industries, it's a growing trend now. And as the cost of AI becomes more consumer friendly, it's going to continue to be.
That's pretty cool. I was reading a kind of a best practice on customer engagement, and they talked about the hero's journey and how if you can, as a consultant or a coach or even just a service provider, be that person, the Yoda to Luke or whatever the case, they look at you as sort of that figure. You got yourself a lengthy, career, if you will. What do you think about that, Mr. Newman?
I think if you're more of a Darth Vader character where you just grab them by the throat, hold them like 10 feet in the air, and threaten to kill their family and destroy their planet. That's how I run my business. So I don't know what this Yoda thing is, but if you guys like that, you go with it.
Actually, he doesn't actually touch him. He actually uses the dark side of the Force.
Right.
Yeah.
My favorite line there is that I have altered the deal. Pray that I alter it no further.
Yes. Oh, yes.
It's like, I just gave you 10 grand. Yes, I know. I've altered the deal. Pray that I alter it no further.
Have you used that?
And I'm the one that says, you chose wisely. That's more my style.
So we have the good.
This is why you have repeat business and I do not. That's maybe it. I don't know.
I don't know about that. Our last call, you had too much business, Newman. See, so I know your game. I know you. Yeah. All right, last sip, guys. As we wind this down, man, this has been really fun, Jill. So, what do you think about business over bourbon? Think it's gonna last?
I like the bourbon. I don't think the bourbon's gonna last, but
no, that's one thing that will not last. As
they said, they said this wouldn't last, and we're already at episode 2.
Yes, we've doubled our production.
So there.
Do you feel like you need a mic drop? Should I just?
Yeah. Oh, don't hurt it though. It's a good mic. What kind of mic is that?
I don't even know. It's a Samson mic. It's actually one of these that I won at a raffle at some point in time, and it seems to work well enough. And I have this little portable sound booth. So if I'm just recording an audio podcast, I actually created a portable sound booth with acoustic foam that's in one of those 12 by 12 crates that you put in those cube storage things.
Coming up, yep.
Yeah, it's amazing. And this mic, I tested it against a friend that had like a $400 mic, and there was absolutely, at least not to my ear, any discernible difference. So I said, well, forget it. I guess this I won you in a raffle drawing mic is good enough.
You sound crystal clear. Let's just end with just sort of last words, last sip kind of thing. Jill, anything that we didn't cover, any thoughts to? I mentioned to you, Newman, I was trying to explain to Jill who our audience was, and I was like, I have no idea. It could be anybody for that matter. It may be the alcoholic down the street. Who knows?
Yeah. I think last time it was like our spouses and our dogs, so 4, and now maybe a couple of Jill's friends, so we might be up to 6.
Well, Newman, Domino didn't come back for this one, dude. He said no thanks. He had other things. Yeah, the goats. He was more interested in the goats.
That's cold. Yeah, that's cold.
I got to say, I had a date last night, and I told them that I was going to be on the show that combines business over bourbon because, as a chick that drinks bourbon, I think that's kind of a cool credibility card to pull out. He's like, oh, that's really neat, but I got to tell you guys, I don't know that I should show him this. I don't know if it'll get me that second date.
Oh, yes.
Did I mention I have no repeat business whatsoever? Just steer clear. This never happened.
That's why David wouldn't let me go live. Yeah. Always a chance to pull the plug.
I think one of the things that I will say as the last word to reel you guys back in, because clearly that's why you had me as a second guest, so I could kind of be like, get this in.
No, hang on. Not second guest.
Oh,
not first second guest. Number 1.
First and last. No, I mean first. Yes.
Yeah, this could be. You could have 2 honors.
You could have 2 honors.
Oh, that's so romantic, guys. Thanks. But no, I think to the point of this is a passion that you guys have. You clearly have absolutely no fun together. You don't enjoy bourbon at all. So it's any type of communication. And why I wrote the book that I did, right, is communication is often thought of, transmission from A to B, right? You get a message from here to here. It's perfectly, it's well constructed and grammatically accurate, and there's no ums or uhs or slurs, and your body language is poised and perfect, and you're not, like messing with your hair or drinking bourbon on the air. But that's communication by a literal definition. Dynamic communication is based on results. It's based on getting action. And so if you have an imperfect podcast, an imperfect show, more often that show is going to be perfect for somebody else who doesn't know how to operate or learn from the perfectly scripted, well-written, crafted message. And so I think you guys will continue to have fun with this. And as you evolve and get more, I don't want to say more confident because you're both two very confident people, but as you get more used to the pattern and the flow of it, you're going to get the feedback from people that you need to keep going, and you'll implement it in a way that's natural to you and not trying to be anyone else. So therefore it'll keep going.
I think the subtitle of this show is The Imperfect Podcast on so many levels.
I think that's fair. It's that's wise, sage advice, Jill. It was the guy who's editing this podcast actually asked me today, said, do you want me to take out the ums and the ahs? And I'm like, no, I can't afford to pay you the amount of time to probably take out the. But I completely agree with you that I always say in the digital space that perfection. I don't say it, but I mean it's something that I live by. That perfection is the enemy of progress, and I by no means we'll ever do any of this stuff perfectly, but we'll get it done. You know, while the other person is trying to create the perfect podcast, Newman and I will screw our ways over to literally.
We're going to screw our way to success. We're going to screw our way to success.
As we
your wives, your wives may not appreciate that statement so much.
And now we lost the final 2 audience members.
Well, shit. It's just like, hey, you know what, David? Though, if it's just you and me, buddy, I'm okay.
Yeah. I'm okay with it too.
You found a way to write off bourbon. I think you're good.
Yeah, exactly.
I told the guy as I was buying this bourbon that I was writing this off, and he had a tear in his eye. He was very, very proud.
All right, there, Hudson Baby ass bourbon.
We love you.
Here's to you.
Here's to you. Hey, Jill, thank you so much for being on. And hey, if you know of a person or a guest that you think would be great for the show, if it's yourself, the only 2 prerequisites that we have is that you've got an expertise that you want to share and a bourbon that you'd like to share with us. So let me know. You can email me at Corey@ebootcamp.com, and I will get back with you as soon as I'm done with my bourbon. So with that, thank you, Jill. Thank you, Dave.
Guys.
We love you. We'll see you next time.
Peace out, dudes.
Outro. Ba 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 ba. But then you gotta.
We're cutting this part out, right?
Nope, not at all. Go ahead and get naked.
We're gonna edit this.
Nope.
This will come out in the editing. The guy that you said is not gonna edit all the editing.
No, we'll see. Depending upon what you do right now. Go ahead. I thought you were gonna show me something. No, nothing. No booty. No, nothing.
I got nothing.
Man.
I got nothing.
Please.
I got no booty. I got no underpants. I got nothing. We're going commando.
He's not even wearing pants right now. That's
I know that. I know that for a fact. I know that.
This is the Imperfect Podcast going commando.
If this show doesn't work out, the Imperfect Podcast. That's a great title.